Okay, in this video, I would like to demonstrate how your math course is set up in Canvas and how to navigate Canvas as you work through your lessons. Okay, so once you receive your email from Canvas, you've created an account and you get started to join your course, you will be taken to this page. There might be a little message up here to say accept the invitation, click accept, but then you will be in your course. Now this shows Math Academy. If you are taking the Math Basics class, that is set up pretty much the same way. But nonetheless, you're going to start with this introduction. I want to go ahead and open that, and that very quickly is just meant to remind you, my name is Gail Gosch. My email address is gmgosch@dmacc.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me. Or you could call me. This is my office number, but I have it forwarded to my cell phone. So I would appreciate it if you would not call after 10 in the evening or before 9 in the morning. And this is, again, just to say that this is an asynchronous class. You will be accessing your lessons on your own time. You do not need to participate in a virtual class, although you and I might meet virtually from time to time, but we'll schedule that, and I'll discuss that in an email. But anyway, this is also pointing out that your next to move on to the next activity, you always click this next in this lower right-hand corner. Okay, so for the Math Basics students, that is going to take you to a quiz or a pre-assessment to identify your skills. For the Math Academy students, it's going to take you directly into a review lesson on rounding whole numbers. I want you to know that I downloaded many lessons from a provider called NROC. And all of their lessons are set up exactly like this, where you've got the title of the lesson. There's a warm-up activity, which is just simple activity to warm you up to the concept. A presentation, which usually it's about a 5 or 6 minute video. And these are very good presentations. Then there's some worked examples, and most of these worked examples are presented by Sal from Khan Academy. Then there are some practice activities. This one has 4 different practice problems where you just make a selection here. You'll identify, when you click submit, it'll tell you if I had it correct or not. I can go on to the next one, and I'm dragging and dropping. I'm just not making any sense here, but I'm going to hit submit, and it's going to tell me I'm wrong. And so I want to go ahead and redo that. Then there is a review activity, which is set up a little bit differently, where you're typing in the answer, and there's 4 of those as well. I want you to know that these practice and review activities are not recorded in our Canvas system. They're just there to give you an opportunity to practice and get feedback. Okay? But then you can always click on to the next activity to move on to the next lesson. But I wanted to point out that Math Academy students, these first couple units are going to be a quick review. You probably don't need to go through all of this stuff. But I would say always watch the presentations. These presentations are 5-6 minutes, and these instructors were really skillful in going over a lot of good information. Okay, if you ever want to get out of the lessons and go back to the module page, I would say just click on the name of your course up here in the upper left, and that's going to take you back to these modules. Okay, now I'm in the student view right now, and so when I scroll down, you're going to see these next modules are grayed out, because before you can move on to the next module, you need to complete a quiz. And so if you are a Math Academy student, you feel like you've got your whole numbers concepts down, which is rounding whole numbers, and then also estimating using the rounding skill to estimate, adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing whole numbers, and then there's an introduction to exponents and square roots, as well as order of operations. You can preview any of those, spend as much time as you need to, but if you feel like you have that down pretty well, you can go directly to the whole number quiz and take that. But you are expected to get 21 or better out of 26 problems here. If you do not, you're not going to be allowed to move forward. So you want to make sure that you are prepared to do these quizzes. Once you've completed that quiz with that mastery level, this next activity will open up. And each of these, you can see in the grayed out here, each of these have a quiz that you need to take. And then once you've completed that quiz, the next unit will open up for you. Okay, so now I'm going to get out of the student view here so I can demonstrate a couple of these things that are in those units that are grayed out. Now they are no longer grayed out. So one of the activities that I want to discuss with you is the introduction to the TI graphing calculator. And I would really encourage you to spend the money to pick up one of these. There's a lot of things that you can do with the graphing calculator, and that is embedded in our second unit here. I'm going to open this up. And this is going to be displayed a little differently. This is a page that I created, and I have put in things that I feel NROC left out and that you need to have exposure to. So this is a link to a video that's going to open up outside of Canvas. This is a video that I was able to embed in Canvas. So you can open those up and check those out and practice some of those skills with the graphing calculator. But then the next thing that you'll move on to is going to be the quiz. And so the quiz, we're expecting you to be able to do most of that quiz for this section for the decimals and fractions with the graphing calculator. We're expecting you to do that quiz with the calculator in your hand. Okay, so I would encourage you that once you've completed a unit, a module, I should say, I would say click that little arrow here and close that up so you can move on. You don't have to keep scrolling, otherwise you're going to feel like you're scrolling forever. Another thing that I want to open up, here's another page that I created, and it's called HiSET Highlight. Anytime you see that, I've created something that pinpoints how HiSET tests that particular skill. I've also created another activity here, additional resources. In this case, it's for ratios, rates, and proportions. There's other times that I've created another page where it's more practice with something. So if you need any of that, definitely open up the practice or the additional resources. But I'm going to open up this HiSET highlight page, and you can see that's displayed a little bit differently. Now this is a PDF that when you click it, I want you to notice that it opens up down here in this lower left corner. And so you would open that up and you can work on that activity. I'm going to close that out for now. There's other videos here, and then down here there's a task, more PDFs that you could open up, but I've put in bold print here to be sure to use the CAM scanner to take a picture of your work, convert it to a PDF, and then email it to me, and there's my email again. So when you send that to me, I can give you 1.5 hours of instructional time for doing this task. So I just want to not warn you, but remind you that you can get time for this. You can get time awarded for these extra things that you do to practice. So back to our modules. And I want to close up ratios and proportions. Okay, so at the end of each of these, you can see that you're going to have quizzes. I do want to go back to the student view because I wanted to show you grades. You can always click in here in grades, and it's out of order now, but as you're completing these, they'll be showing your scores in order. This is what I'm seeing. And so this is letting me know how you are doing. And we'll kind of discuss as we move along on that. But the modules for Math Academy are very similar to the modules for Math Basics at the start here. I'm wanting these to close a little more quickly. Okay, so you're going to have modules on whole numbers, decimals, and the calculator, ratio, rates, and proportions, measurements, percents, geometry. Oh, also, there's in data, probability, and statistics. I wanted to show you another lesson. This is a lesson on scatter plots. And again, here's that HiSET highlight. HiSET tests a lot of stuff with scatter plots, interpreting them, identifying a line of best fit, and then also identifying whether it's positive or negative correlation. So this is a quick lesson that covers pretty much all of that. Take your time to read through that. But at the bottom, this is a different kind of activity. The following link provides an opportunity to practice these concepts using a Math is Fun website. So when you would click this, this would take you out of Canvas and to work on an activity, which is going to take you probably an hour to work on this. It could take you up to an hour. So I've got a note here to be sure to use Cam Scanner to take a picture of your quiz results. And so I want to show you that this is what the Math is Fun site looks like. Now I worked through the first couple tasks on here. This is the last one, and I am just going to make a guess on this. I would say it's probably this one, and I am correct. It gives you that immediate feedback. And so I want you to see that, and you see down here, this is the last question. I am getting, it's saying my quiz results. I can look at my quiz results. So I can look through this, and you can see and go back and review those questions if you want to. But this is the picture that I want you to take a cam scan of and send to me as proof that you worked through this activity, and I can give you credit up to an hour, I believe, for that activity. So definitely take advantage of those practice opportunities when you are working in your class. Okay, continuing on here, then you have Introductory to Algebra Skills and Single Variable Equations. Those are all the topics that are covered in a math basics class. So you'd want to make sure that you've worked through all of those. You will need to be completing the quizzes at the end of each one in order to be able to move forward. At that point, I'm giving you the opportunity to practice a HiSET practice test. This was something that was used as a qualifying test in the past. It's since been retired, and so I've made it a practice activity for you. So you can click on this and work on that practice activity. Your goal on this one is to get 13 out of 26 correct. That's the minimum. And then after that, for you Math Academy students, you'll be continuing on to the next module, which is linear equations. And again, after that, you'll have another opportunity for another retired practice test with a certain goal. And then another activity module. And you can see that the Math Academy students, once you get into that higher level activity, every other module, you are going to have a practice test to practice. A lot of times you need to have that practice test so you can see how HiSET tests. Each question will test more than one concept, all wrapped up into one question, and then how one question might have 3 or 4 different steps to it. You're not just dealing with one skill in isolation. You're dealing with several skills and several steps. And so I want to give you some practice with that. And that's what this does for you. Okay, I think that gives you a good overview of what to expect. Once you get into your course, you can navigate around and, open up and click things, see what you can get into, see what you can't get into. Some of the things you can't get into because you need to complete some previous activities. So again, you need to go back to the very beginning, click on the introduction, the next, and then go ahead and get rolling.